All right, I just got done with my hip series for quad day. That's obviously what we're working today. So one thing I wanted to kind of maybe touch on, if you struggle with knee pain during your quad days or leg days, something I started doing was just leg extensions as my first movement on quad day. So a lot of times I found when I would start with squats, any type of variation of squats, leg press, any type of variation of that, any type of like heavy compound movement where multiple muscle groups are coming together and working together at once, I would struggle with knee pain. I've never had super balanced quads, so a lot of times I'd be imbalanced. But when I start out with that leg extension, just light squeezing sets where I'm at the top and I'm squeezing my quads as hard as I can, I find it to be a little bit easier on my knees as I'm warming up. So if you do struggle with knee pain and you're on a quad day or a lower body day, leg day, whatever you want to call it, try doing light squeezing sets of leg extension and then work into your working sets, meaning heavier sets on those leg extensions. Try that first. You can superset it if you want. I actually superset my leg extensions with hip adductors in my rack with my cable, because I don't have a machine. So to me, I honestly feel like leg extensions just kind of warm me up and get the blood to my quads more efficiently than leg extension. And I know a lot of people do leg extension first, but if that works for you, awesome. And if you don't struggle with knee pain or anything like that, that's even better. So if you're like me or a lot of people that struggle with that knee pain, try the leg extension. You would be surprised. So I start super light. I only have 2 plates loaded on right now. When I get into my working sets, I'm usually working with 4 plates, 4 sets of about 20. So in the last set, I really do try to go for leg extensions to failure. But again, I'm not going past the point of where I'm just putting a sheer amount of force on my knees and just destroying my knees. I think knee health when I think of leg extensions, and I think of just blood filling that medialis, the rectus femoris, the lateralis. I just want my 3 heads of my quad full of blood before I get going into my actual quad day. So let's go ahead and get into it. Like I said, I'm starting with leg extensions and hip adductors. First warm-up set. Hopefully you can see in the camera angle, I only have 2 plates in there. But as I'm doing this, all I'm focusing on is I try to see the 3 heads of my quad as I squeeze at the top, come back down and control, squeeze at the top, come back down and control. If you can see on the camera, you can see that middle part of my quad. The rectus femoris is what it's technically called, but I like seeing the separation between the medialis, the lateralis, and the rectus femoris. So it's not necessarily me trying to push as much weight as I can, more so when I'm at the top, squeezing, getting blood in there. I'm not locking out. That's something else I want to make sure people know. When I'm right here, I'm not locking out. I don't even want to show you, but that's how you put a big amount of tension on your knee, and that's where a lot of knee pain can come from. So again, I'm not doing this with heavy weight. My working sets are 4 plates, sometimes more than 4 plates, but the goal of this warm-up of leg extension is just getting blood into the quads. And then once I did a set about 12, 10 to 12, I like coming in here, going through the range of motion, and then squeezing and really trying to get the 3 heads of my quad to come out. Now I'll go ahead and transition to some of my working sets. We'll go 15 reps, 4 plates. And just a reminder, as you're doing those leg extensions, it's going to be a little bit harder to pause at the top and get the contraction, but I'm still trying to see the 3 heads of my quad as I'm going. That helps me with the mind muscle connection. A lot of times people come into leg extensions, they're just kicking, they're not really having intention. So when you're going, a lot of times people will just focus on the medialis when they're doing leg extensions and not the entire 3 heads of the quad. So as I'm going, I'm really squeezing and trying to see all 3 heads of my quad. If you watched yesterday, I talked about mind-muscle connection, whether that's singular with the muscle or plural. Well, in this case, it is plural because we have medialis, rectus femoris, lateralis. That's 3 heads of one muscle. So I'm trying to see all 3 activate. Let's go to hip adductors. If you've seen my YouTube short about how I rig up a hip adductor because I don't have a hip adductor machine, if you have access to a rack at your house or maybe a functional trainer or cables like I have with this RitFit rack, if you just have low cables and you get the Velcro attachment, you can hit your adductors, but just be sure your plant leg is on a bumper. That way you can actually sweep your leg through without hitting the ground. So I do 4 sets of 12 hip adductors. Also, I apologize for the squeakiness of this rack. It usually comes from down here. Obviously, it's not a full-fledged functional trainer, so it's not going to be perfect, but that's how I do hip adductors. And I'll flip around and do my right side. Getting ready to do my last set here on leg extension. And I have in my little Google Sheets document where I have all my workouts and everything, it says 3 by 20 to 15, and then the last set is 1 to failure. So what does failure mean? A lot of people think it means, you go until you physically cannot go anymore, which some circumstances may be pull-ups, maybe push-ups, like free weight compound movements. Yes, that's literally what it means, is until you can't do anymore. If you're doing push-ups and it's just body weight and there's not much negative consequences to it, like if you fail, you're just going right here. It's not like you're under load. It's not like you have 4 plates on leg extensions. So what I mean when I say this last set is to failure, it's until my technique fails. And the instant I feel my technique going by the wayside, or I'm losing the mind-muscle connection where maybe I'm doing my leg extensions and all of a sudden I feel the back of my knees, I start feeling it in my hamstrings, that's failure. I stop right there. That way, since it is under a lot of tension with 4 plates, I'm not increasing my risk of injury. So whatever training you're doing, if it's free weight, body weight type movements, maybe body weight squats, push-ups, like I said, pull-ups, chin-ups, that can be literally, to the literal term, failure until you can't go anymore. But if you're doing a machine style lift, like leg extensions to failure, don't literally go to failure because you are gonna mess yourself up. So if you're maybe new into the area of lifting, weightlifting, just wait several months, maybe even a year or more until you truly feel like you have mind-muscle connection mastered, until you feel like you have discipline mastered. Because if I just came in here on leg extension and did it until the literal term of failure, I'm putting myself at a pretty big risk of tearing a quad, popping a hamstring if I'm trying to use my hamstrings to get it up, and losing that mind muscle connection. So even now, since I've been doing this for almost 5 years now, 4 years, whatever it is, I still feel a little nervous at times doing this to failure. So a lot of times I don't truly go to failure on my technique. I go up to failure, up to the point of where I feel I'm losing that mind muscle connection. So just the difference, know the difference between going to failure on low risk exercises and high risk exercises. If you were doing, just the immediate example is leg extension is a high risk to failure. You're isolating a certain muscle group, your quads, and you are putting an incredible amount of tension on those quads, and especially if you're going to fatigue and then other muscles, like I said, I don't want to be a broken record. So just know the difference between high risk, low risk to failure. One of my favorite movements to do on quad day is sissy squat. I haven't done these for probably close to a year. I took a year off of them. I was just feeling a little too much knee pain and I had to tweak my training. So I've implemented them back in for the past month or so. I've really liked how they felt going back to it. My knees feel strong. So if you're going through maybe some knee pain or knee rehab, I wouldn't necessarily recommend heavy barbell sissy squats, but if you're feeling good, your training's going good, and you want to really target the teardrop, the medialis, go ahead and add barbell sissy squats. If you've seen my short, you've heard me already talk about the different variations, but for what I have, I do free weight barbell sissy squats. You can do dumbbell goblet, you can do Smith machine. Really, it's up to you and what you have available to you. But if you had your choice or your pick of any of those three, if it were me, I would definitely just go the barbell, because again, it does force your posterior chain to work as well. It targets your teardrop and your rectus femoris, but it forces you to have good technique. That way you can't slop through it. So I'm gonna go into my second superset here with barbell sissy squats and then hanging leg raises to get my abs in. I just kind of like throwing in abs once or twice a week. This is usually when I'm I can't even talk. This is usually when I do my ab day, or ab day if you want to call it that, is on my quad day. If I had to take a second pick, it would probably be on my glute hamstring day, but as of right now in my current programming, I have abs on quad day. So let's go ahead and get into this.
Unbroken, unchosen, reborn. Titan. Shoulders carved from battle scars. Every rep rewrite the stars. No sympathy in my regime. Only discipline supreme. They train hype, I train pain. Now my presence reign. From collapse to conqueror. Now I'm darker, stronger. When the base hit low.
Okay, what to do if you have a quad imbalance? There's a lot of unilateral things you can do. Bilateral, unilateral means one way, bilateral means multi-direction, side to side, things like that. So let's say you have, in terms of just mass and definition, if maybe your right quad is more defined than your left, you're doing too many unilateral movements. Maybe just a squat, just like a barbell squat, maybe just like a traditional leg press, things to fix imbalances. So bilateral, unilateral, it's important to like combine both, but when you can do more single leg stuff like split squat, if you can do single leg press, if you can do pistol squats, things that isolate one leg as opposed to the other, that way you can have some mind muscle connection over both quads. If there is an imbalance, maybe you can add a few more reps to each set. Maybe you can add a set just stand alone with your left quad if it's straggling behind. So that comes with time, that those imbalances can happen for a number of different reasons. A lot of times it's because of the auxiliary muscles, like you think of your adductors or your hamstrings. Maybe you're in imbalance as you're pressing up through a squat and your quads are overcompensating. Or maybe it's reversed. Maybe your hamstrings are super strong and your hamstrings are overtaking your quad. Whatever the case may be, add single leg work to your leg day. That is super important if you're looking for balance, both with power, strength, and mass and definition. So be sure you're hitting your left just as much as you right, just as much as your right. It's something that can be easily overlooked until it's too late. And obviously you're only gonna find out when it's too late. So thankfully, my time as a strength coach, I've always been cognizant of my athletes' muscle balance. So we do a lot of unilateral work, a lot of bilateral work, a lot of single leg. I mean, just things to help balance for tendon strength, tendon health. I tell my athletes all the time, if your quad is stronger than your hamstring, if you're doing quarter squats, if you're not getting to full depth below parallel, you will suffer ACL, you will suffer MCL, LCL, all that fun stuff in your knees. So it is imperative that if you're lifting by yourself, you put your ego on the shelf, maybe video yourself so you can see if you're actually getting low enough. Muscle imbalance is something that's really, really serious and something you need to take a hard look at, because if there's an imbalance, like I mentioned, maybe you're working your quads 3 times the amount you're working your hamstrings. Somewhere along the line, you're going to get exposed, whether that's with an ACL tear, pulling a hammy, popping a hammy. Those are pretty gnarly, but just take a look at your training, look through your program. Hopefully your coach does a good job of balancing both muscles. I know a couple of my athletes watch these. That's why we do so many ham blasters. So if you don't know, if you're not trained by me, if you're somewhere else, obviously, and you're just hitting quads and you never hit the hamstrings, you're gonna have the imbalance. So what I do with my athletes 3 to 4 times a week, we are hitting ham blasters. Some people call them Nordic curls, but they have a partner. Their partner is holding their ankles from behind, and then the person is going down as slow as they can. They're gonna try to touch their nose to the ground and then come back up, trying to not use their hands. If they have to use their hands, just barely push off the ground. But it's so, so important. I can't emphasize it enough to look at your training, look at your split. For me, I have a dedicated quad day, which we're going through right now, and then I'll have a dedicated glute and hamstring day. That way I know for sure my reps and sets are balancing out. So something to be aware of. That was my quad day. Not every set, not every rep was filmed, but we accomplished a lot. Like I said, I kind of want more long form YouTube content, kind of steer away from the shorts. Shorts can be cool, but I don't know, they're too, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not as genuine. I mean, they're a little bit more fast paced. You can't get complete thoughts out because TikTok brain. So if you do like long form content, you know, be sure to like and all that good stuff. We'll keep doing what we're doing. As school gets started here, my goal potentially is 1 to 2 long form videos a week, and then just make maybe snippets of the long version. I got to figure out how to film that way, like landscape and portrait and all that is figured out, but Yeah, quad day is always tough. I'm not a huge fan of quad day just because it takes a lot of effort. It's very draining, taxing mentally, physically. It's just a tough day. And especially if like I'm doing it at the end of the day, like after work or something like that, it's super, super tough. But at the same time, it's like you can't be skipping leg days. I have 2 leg days built into my workout and I'm very disciplined with them. Like if you're like me and your legs are just not huge, but you genuinely work at them, you work both sides, the front, the back, the sides, all the different muscle heads, just keep doing it, stay after it. It will pay off. But I will say, like, if you skip them all the time, if you don't do them, people are going to notice. You will look goofy. Your proportion's going to be all messed up. So just stay disciplined with it. But here's the challenge. Like, if you're just checking the box, if you're just doing it to do it, and you aren't adding weight, if you're not progressive, if you're not doing progressive overload, then you're not going to get a whole lot of benefit out of it. So stay disciplined with it. Keep a log, like whether it's Google Sheets or on your phone, with all your lifts, all the weights that you do on them, so you actually know what you're doing. Don't just come in and say, well, I got squat today, I'm just doing 225 because I always do 225, and then work from there. If you're always starting on 225 and you're never progressively overloading, like starting at 235, then 245, then 255, if you're not gaining weight on your opening sets and closing sets, then you're not doing it right. You're not going to gain muscle. That could be with leg extensions, that could be with leg press, hack squat, whatever leg or any exercise in general I'm speaking now. But just don't come in on leg day and just half-heartedly throw weight on and just say, I got to do this just to check the box, because you're not going to gain the strength, you're not going to gain the muscle, the mass, all that good stuff. So stay disciplined with it. Keep punching away at it. So just to recap, today we did leg extensions, adductors, hanging leg raises, barbell calf raises, single leg press. I moved away from the traditional leg press where it's both feet coming. I just want to work on my balance in my quads. My left quad, my left leg, is quite a bit weaker than my right leg. So growing up, or at some point, my right leg, just for whatever point, got quite a bit stronger. Maybe it's I just lean on that side more. I really don't know, but I'm trying to correct that, and it's been tough. I've been working at it for, probably several months now, but just be sure, like, have a buddy film you when you're squatting. If you feel like the imbalance, have somebody film you. That way you know that you're staying balanced, your form's good, you're keeping yourself accountable. So just a few things to keep in mind on leg day. And as always, I appreciate everyone watching.